Africa marks 30 years since the release of former President Nelson Mandela. Guests have gathered at the Cape Town City Hall, where a lecture will be delivered by Nobel Peace Laureate Leymah Gbowee. Her lecture is titled "The Prisons of Africa." She'll draw on the legacy of Nelson Mandela. For more on this, we cross to our reporter Asanda Mbetshe, who is at the Cape Town City Hall for us. Over to you, Asanda.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the City Hall right here in Cape Town. Yes, it is where Madiba stood on the balcony to address South Africans on his first day as a free man right here in the CBD of Cape Town. Inside the hall right here at City Hall in Cape Town, the Nelson Mandela Foundation has organized the memorial lecture that will be held inside the hall here in a few minutes' time, in fact. There will be a panel of people, of human rights activists, who will engage on the themes around that memorial lecture. The four themes that they will be looking into is cycles of intergenerational poverty, issues of violence, its impact on survivors and perpetrators. They'll look at issues of liberation and new forms of justice. So those are some of the issues that will be tackled in a closed engagement that will be taking place right here in the City Hall. That engagement will be facilitated by the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Mr. Selo Hatang. We're going to lead you there, but briefly before we go inside, just give you an update that streets around the Grand Parade are closed right here at the City Hall in Cape Town to prepare for a session that will take place in the afternoon, where President Ramaphosa will stand on the balcony where Madiba stood to also deliver a speech in commemoration of that day as part of the 30th anniversary celebrations. But for now, we are going to go into the closed engagement inside the City Hall. Before we go to that, as I mentioned just now, that around the Grand Parade, streets have been closed to prepare for people who will be taking part here. My colleague Bulelani Philip is on the Grand Parade, getting ready to talk to people that are here. Bulelani, tell us what is going on around here as people prepare for the second leg of today's activities.
Well, thank you so much, Asanda. Of course, we are standing right in front of the City Hall here in Cape Town. Of course, this is the place where former President Nelson Mandela delivered his first public speech to the public following his release from Victor Verster prison. Of course, the anticipation is quite high up here, although it's quite a bit of a slow start in terms of the crowds that are building up. But entertainment is getting ready. The chairs are decked out. Of course, as you can see right there is the VIP tent where all the dignitaries will be sitting. Of course, I've seen quite some prominent people who are actually inside the hall. They include, amongst others, former Minister Trevor Manuel, businessman Saki Makozoma, IFP Emeritus leader Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Those are some of the prominent people that are actually bumping to as the preparations were getting underway. Of course, proceedings here outside will be beginning shortly after this closed dialogue that will be happening in about 15 minutes from now. Of course, the main event, the third leg of this commemoration of the 30th anniversary of the release of former President Nelson Mandela will be that speech that will be delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa around 3:30 this afternoon. Of course, you'll recall that he was the person who was actually holding the mic for Madiba when he was delivering that speech in 1990. For now, Asanda, I'm going to cross back to you as we're going to speak to each other a little bit later when the action has actually begins. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that update, Bulelani. You know, some of the people you mentioned, former Minister Trevor Manuel and President Cyril Ramaphosa, were part of the welcoming committee, the reception committee that took care of Madiba's arrangements for that day, this day rather, in 1990. So we're going to go into the second leg of today's activities for that closed engagement, which includes the memorial lecture inside the City Hall, to give you more of what the Nelson Mandela Foundation wants you, how it wants you to remember Madiba and his legacy. Let's go inside the City Hall right here in Cape Town.